Beautiful souls, and welcome to Anjali's podcast, a podcast designed to help burned out millennial women find their purpose and create meaningful work they love so that they can feel whole, safe, and alive again. I'm your host, Anjali Sivaraman, and I am the author of Anjali's newsletter on Substack, as well as the author of the book, It Can Be Done, Learn to Create Meaningful Work You Love, and it's my absolute joy and pleasure to have you here with me today. So welcome back, and thank you for joining me. How are you doing, by the way? I am genuinely curious. I normally write this at the end of my emails to you and videos, but seriously, I want to know, so hit reply on your email or write in the comments. I would love to hear from you. Today, we are going to talk about how purpose is a paradox and has many paradoxes. Purpose is one of those ever-prevailing ideas running in the background, but once your perspective has shifted, it appears everywhere and then can be very obvious. When you are searching for your purpose, it can be one of the most confusing and anxiety-ridden times of your life. All you want is clarity. Each spiritual teacher has a different way of teaching you how to find your purpose. While many of the principles are similar, sometimes we can get caught in the wrong detail and find ourselves stuck again. Some teachers, like myself, say that you can find your purpose in your joy, and that is true. I am living proof of this, and I've helped other women find their purpose through my book, It Can Be Done. On the other hand, that's not the full story, which I also cover in my book. Purpose is full of paradoxes, and that's why I'm talking about this today. Why is this important to know? If you only look towards your joy for your purpose, and you haven't taken a look at the full picture, you can really miss what's going on right in front of you. As such, it can really impact how you start your business or offerings, because without a clear message on what you do and how you can help, others can't really find you, and the ones who need you will be missing out. It's like following a recipe, but half the ingredients are missing. You wouldn't want that, right? When you are aware of the paradoxes of purpose, you can work through the challenges of figuring out what yours is with ease, compassion, and grace, knowing that it's being revealed to you at exactly the right time. Paradox number 1 is joy versus pain. In my book, It Can Be Done, I spend an entire chapter talking about the importance of using joy to find your purpose. That principle is visited and revisited time and time again throughout the book. Joy is a great connector to purpose because purpose feels really good. Joy connects you to your intuition, your creativity, your authenticity, and your heart. These are all great connectors to call in your purpose. But purpose is not limited only to things that give you joy. It can be revealed through pain. For example, if you grew up with relational trauma or childhood abuse, then intimate relationships are likely very difficult for you. You've probably been through so many breakups, too many to count, and it's left your heart very sore. Or you learn to protect your heart, which blocks real love from coming in. Then maybe you learn the tools and exact steps to heal your heart, your childhood, and your relationships with men or whichever gender you're attracted to. You learn how to regulate your nervous system, and now you've met your love. Now you are a fountain of wisdom to share with other single women who are looking for their soulmates. Another example could be maybe you're undergoing a health challenge, you're doing everything you can to heal and feel better. Maybe your purpose is underneath that challenge. What did that health challenge teach you? How did it help you grow as a person? What realizations did you have about yourself or about life? What advice would you give to others to work through this? Another example is if you suffered from money trauma and you know what it's like to not be able to cover your bills, or you've had to rely on others for help. Maybe you went without a stable job for a while. It becomes a force that helps you learn how to manage your money, open up new streams of income, and manifest wealth in new ways. Then you have these new skills that you can teach others so that they can also live in financial abundance. Through painful circumstances, you grow into a joyful and more whole version of you who has overcome something you could never have imagined you would, and now it's this amazing thing you teach others. So joy and challenge go together in purpose. Paradox number 2 is obvious versus not obvious. On the one hand, your purpose and gifts might be very obvious to others. For you, because these gifts are so innate, they can be really easy to miss. In my book, one of the things I recommend is to ask other people what gifts they see in you, what energy you bring to the room, and what do they want from you when they come looking for help. Your people will be able to answer these questions very easily, but you might not see it at first. One of the great pains of childhood is not being celebrated for your gifts, which are some of the keys to revealing your purpose. For example, if you were sensitive and empathic and you liked writing, but your parents didn't value nor affirm your gifts, you may grow up in the world feeling like you have to stifle those parts of yourself when really they are meant to come out full force. It's almost like you have to go through something that squashes your gift in order for you to find it and retrieve that gift and want to express it with gusto as an adult. Something that was so hidden to you now becomes so obvious. Paradox number 3, easy versus hard. Another great paradox of purpose is that yes, it should come from the gifts you barely have to think about, your empathy, your great listening skills, your presence, your sensitivity. But when sharing those gifts intentionally, that can feel like the hardest thing in the world. If you grew up in an environment that thrived on keeping you small, quiet, agreeable, or always in selfless giving mode, it can feel really scary and unnatural to put your work out into the world. You might feel really selfish for no reason beyond the programming of the family you grew up in. Why is it selfish to share your gifts? It's not, but try telling your inner critic this. Beyond that, though, once again, if your gifts weren't believed in as a child, you have to undo all of those belief systems as an adult so that you can steady your self-worth and believe in yourself again. That can be very difficult. If you were taught you couldn't use your natural gifts to create work and be paid, that's a huge mountain to overcome as an adult. Through the pain of growing through something hard, there's joy on the other side. What can feel so easy can feel so hard at the same time, but as you move through that challenge, it starts to get easier again. Paradox number 4, pain within yourself versus pain you feel from others. For this one, I will give you a personal example. After I quit my job, I started a dog sitting business. I love this so much. I got really good at it. I take multiple dogs at a time now, and I've gotten really adept at handling them. But there was a problem. Not with Rocco, my dog. Rocco's a perfect angel, great temperament, great dog relations, great human relations, great manners. He is a product of good socialization and good training. We are a great team. The problem was with other people's dogs. They were misbehaving, acting aggressively, like resource guarding. They didn't have good manners, like demanding attention, couldn't walk on a leash. One didn't know how to play with other dogs. These dogs were causing problems because their training was incomplete. Training a dog is really hard. It's like a minimum 1.5 to 2 year commitment. You have to be really consistent and disciplined every day, and theoretically, the training never stops. But an undertrained dog at best is just inconvenient. At worst, is really dangerous. So this was a new pain that I was having. I was clearly not screening well enough for these dogs to have a safe stay at my house. And yet, spiritually, I felt I was called to care for them in order to see these problems and communicate them to the owners. But they left me scratching my head like, what would you do to help with this? As a sitter who wasn't a dog trainer, you're kind of stuck just managing the behaviors. But honestly, in managing, you're low-key training the dog because you don't want to encourage bad behavior or allow it to get worse. You're also in a tough spot because the owner either didn't know or they did, and either way, it's a tough conversation to have. It also reveals people's true colors when you tell them. Are they open and curious about your feedback? Do they make jokes or gaslight you? Will they take responsibility and do something about this? Do they understand without training this will get worse? Are they grateful for the information and care that you gave? Who knew dog sitting could be so complicated? So this was my cue to get a dog training certification. I've learned so much so far. My screening is way better for dog sitting now. And though I've still gotten some poorly behaved dogs, it's taught me how to be honest and strong in my assessments and observations and communicate them clearly. It's also taught me how to train and manage aggressive dogs, something I never thought I'd ever want to learn. And yet, it's really empowering learning about what to do to train a dog out of growling and snapping at other dogs, resource guarding, and the like. These were skills I didn't have before. I've also been able to help a few clients so far with free training. I've trained a few dogs now to walk better on their leashes, thereby enhancing communication and a better relationship outside between the dog and their owner. I helped a friend of mine house train her dog. I helped another client with her excessive whining and jumping, and yet another with excessive barking. This last paradox is a matter of pain within yourself versus pain that you feel for others. Sometimes we personally have to go through that pain. For example, me changing careers and going through a health crisis at the same time. Sometimes the pain is in relation to others, like these dogs who need help. It wasn't Rocco who made me want to do this, it was the other dogs. And of course, overall, it makes me a better sitter, handler, and reader of dog behavior. So if you're having trouble finding your purpose or expressing it in new ways, look to the pain points in your life, see if they're nudging you somewhere. And if you want to go deeper, I'll be going over this in my Meaningful Career Masterclass. It's on pre-sale right now. I am taking off the deadline for this course. I'm just going to build as I go. I think it should be ready mid-August, but with health issues, I don't want to put too much pressure on myself. Thank you for understanding. And if there's any topics you'd like covered in the course, hit reply on your email or write in the comments. Lots of love from me. P.S. If you like this newsletter and video, please feel free to like it, share it, or subscribe. Thank you. P.P.S. I'm writing a book on chronic fatigue called I'm Tired. I've written about 2.5 chapters so far. I'm writing it out of order, which is actually different from my last book. If you have chronic fatigue and you'd like to share your story with me, please hit reply on your email or write in the comments. Thank you so much. And our quote today is, "Paradox as it may seem, we likewise find life meaningful only when we have seen that it is without purpose, and know the mystery of the universe only when we are convinced that we know nothing about it at all." And that is by Alan Watts. Thank you again for listening to Anjali's newsletter. I'm so grateful you are here. I will talk to you in the next one. Bye!